just do it with Miami Dolphins.
The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown.
Throwing deep upfield down the near side. Man open. Touchdown!
Looking deep, he's got a man.
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown. He's in. Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
1, 2, 3, hit! Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. I welcome all y'all into the show today, as we have a pretty good one for all y'all. Listen, it's time to preview that game we've had circled on the calendar since last season when we lost with Skylar Thompson out there. We got a lot to talk about in regards to the Dolphins and the Bills as we preview the Week 4 matchup. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming in tonight. Man, it's Friday, baby. The weekend is here. And shout out tonight as he just gifted a All-Pro membership, and Sideshow J _BGK, he just reaped the benefit of it. So appreciate you for doing that. Listen, man, who is ready? Y'all ready? Are y'all ready, baby? Tell me you're ready for this weekend, everyone. Man, it's going to be a good one. Let's go. I mean, this is the battle for AFC East supremacy, if there ever really was one. I mean, you know, let's be real here for a sec. The Dolphins have not won in in Buffalo since 2016, when Jay Ajayi ran for 206 yards. So it has certainly been a minute since the Dolphins have got it done in Buffalo. And if you remember that game as well, that was also Matt Moore was the quarterback, but that took overtime, right? Because the Bills scored 10 points in the fourth and the Dolphins only scored 3. But that was a game when we had Jay Ajayi and the run game rolling. Another one of Tyrod Taylor's. You know, Tyrod Taylor has the strongest games of his career against the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you figure that one out. Reese's Pieces says, Fins up, Waddle scoring a touchdown. Book it. I mean, I'll give you a couple reasons to book that later when we get into the keys of victory, Reese's Pieces, because what you're saying ain't that far-fetched. It ain't that far-fetched, what you're saying, man. It's, it's not as far-fetched as you might think it is, man. Let me just put it out that way, all right? So, listen, we're going to get into it, but, you know, it's another guy we got to be worried about if he's going to score a touchdown, man. There's another guy we got to be worried about. So, hey, man, you know, this is a big game. So much on the line. We're 3-0. And like I've said, hey, if we walk into that game and we lose, no one's going to talk about what we did in Denver. It's just not going to be a discussion anymore. This is, you know, this team felt like they should have swept last year. They're built even stronger and even better this year. Well, it seems, you know, listen, Josh Allen may still be a very effective quarterback, but he's not on the lips of people as one of the best in the league anymore. Now, it's Tua and Mahomes this year that everyone's talking about being the best in the league right now. So, hey, we'll see. There's a lot on both sides on both teams, there's a lot to prove here. There's a lot to prove here. The Dolphins want to get that proverbial monkey off their back, and the Bills want to go out and, as much as we want to make a statement against the Bills, they want to make a statement that it ain't over in Buffalo yet. So there's a lot of different contrasting layers to this game, and I just can't wait. I just can't wait for Sunday, baby. I don't know what else to say. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. Hey, let's go, baby. I'll be live on Sunday. We'll be live twice on Sunday. We'll be live for the live reaction. But, just before the game starts, we'll be live around 12:45-ish. But then after the game, it's the post-game panel show, baby. It's the post-game panel show. So the fifth quarter, it's been, if we win, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild if we win on that post-game panel show. I can tell y'all right now. So, especially if we win decisively. Man. So, and I know everyone's talking about Matt Milano this week. I see even just came up in the chat. Everyone's remembering the dirtiness Matt Milano does on the field. Listen, I don't know, man. Just who's taking the flag? Who's going low and chop blocking him? Who's taking the flag on Matt Milano with the chop block? You let me know. I don't know what to say. First play of the game, chop block him. Just boom. Just take him. Let him. First play that he rushes, that he rushes a gap or is up against the line, near the line of scrimmage. Just take it and just chop block him, baby. Just boom. Take him out. Let's go. And we don't want long-term injury because we don't wish that upon anyone. We'll just have him out for the rest of the game. How's that sound? Nah. Seriously, I don't want to wish an injury upon anyone. I don't want that karma, man. I don't want that karma, so I don't wish injury upon anyone. But hey, if you want to set the tone, give him a nice old chop block that he can recover from, that doesn't take him out, and let him know y'all ain't joking around. Tua ready for some smoked barbecue buffalo wings. And another person you got to put on your ass, you got to put Deion Dawkins on his ass for what he did, that video he did of throwing the Dolphins gear around. You need to put him on his ass too. There's a couple receipts that need to go around here. I mean, I hate to be the one to tell y'all. The Dolphins owe a couple receipts to a couple Bills players, Matt Milano and Deion Dawkins being two of them. Hey, if you want to do that, that's cool. Throw someone out there that don't matter. All right, and as long as throw Duke Riley out there and let him throw I'll imagine on special teams, but throw someone out there you can replace, like Eli Apple at this point. Throw Eli Apple out there just to give him a nice uppercut. Just to get in a scrimmage in him and just uppercut him. Just drop Matt Milano. There you go. Doesn't take him out and anything like that unless he gets his jaw broke. But, if you got a glass jaw, which I don't think he does. Shouldn't be doing the things you're doing if you got a glass jaw, really, Matty. So, let Tyndall do it. Scotty nailed it. Everyone, big round of applause for Scotty. He was right. I was looking for the name, and he nailed it. Channing Tyndall, we can finally get a contribution. Let him go out there. Well, the thing is, we got to hit him on special teams then, eh? Get him on special teams with Eli or Tyndall. Hopefully they put Matt out there for a couple special team snaps, and you can catch him. Get him in a tussle and just throw one. Oh, man, here we are, wanting scraps on Sunday. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one. It's all good fun. It's going to be a good one. I cannot wait. I'm ready. I can't wait because I got a feeling that Sunday's going to be a good night. So, hey, man, and, listen, I don't highlight it. Spoiler alert, it's not my matchup of the week this week. But Tua versus Josh Allen. Tua's changed the narrative, right? And as is Mike McDaniel. Tua and Mike McDaniel have changed the narrative, right? We really should have, if it wasn't for Boyer, and that's one of the reasons he got the hook, because they know they should have won that game. If it wasn't for Boyer, and on top of that, Tyreek Hill or Trent Sherfield not catching their touchdowns in the end zone, we win that game in December. And we sweeped them last year with Tua and McDaniel. And then whatever happens with Skyler. So, let's go, man. With each passing week, I look less and less crazy with my 14-3 prediction. Plus, I predicted us to sweep the AFC East. I'm not worried about Zach Wilson, and I ain't worried about Mac Jones, especially Colin Cowherd out here basically creating rumblings that he's hearing bad things in New England about Mac Jones right now. I mean, what's changed there? Bill O'Brien. Is Bill O'Brien starting to feed Colin Cowherd stuff? But I digress. You know, everything's crumbling, and if you can go make a statement, and by statement I mean 10-point or more win, if you can make a 10-point, if you can have a 10-point or more win this Sunday, that is a statement. And you do it in Buffalo. And a key that didn't make it, I really think what we're going to need early on is what we've seen lately. We're going to need that first drive. We're going to need some explosion, because we're going to need to take that crowd out of it. We are going to need to take the Buffalo fans who are all slopped up on beer and wings. We need to take them out of it. You need to basically, this is what you need. You need an explosive play. You need 7 points on that first drive. You need them to get the ball back. You need to stop. And then you need 3 or 7 on the following drive. You need to take them out of it with your first drive and then really silence them and get up by 10 or 14 and start putting the foot on the throat. That's what needs to happen. That's what we need to go down. So, I mean, you know, it's going to be one for both fan bases. We are both ready for this. We are both ready for this. So, hey, we're going to hop into it all right here, right now. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And appreciate all y'all for coming through and spending some of your Friday night with Inside the NFL, baby. So over 200 of you, smash that like button. Let's get into it. Let's not stop, because we got a lot to go over here, man. We got a lot to go over. So let's start off, because it's Buffalo, but thank God it's September. You know, the weather report, and this is what we're looking at for Sunday. Gonna, you know, start off at 71, get to a high of 73. And we do have a little slight 9-mile-per-hour gust winds out of the northwest. So, I mean, you know, and it's pretty much a 0 chance of precipitation, and it's partly cloudy. So it's going to be a rare, beautiful day in Buffalo. It'll be a beautiful day inside the stadium, because you're watching the Dolphins, but you drive around that stadium, it could be, the clouds could part and Jesus himself could smile upon Buffalo and it'd still be the armpit of the world. It's so ugly. So, I mean, this is what it is. Like I say it all the time, beside Griselda Records, beside all you beautiful Dolphin fans that live in the Western New York, Buffalo area, you know, besides things like that and your families, what good is Buffalo right now? So I digress. I always go in on Buffalo because it's just so ugly. I just hate that, you know. Let me tell you something. I walked in 20 years old chanting F-U-C-K the Bills at my loudest, because you remember 19 you could drink in Canada, 21 in Buffalo, but I was with some friends who were older than me, so you know, we stopped at the old convenience store and they loaded me up, baby, before we went to the game. So just loaded. And I walked in there chanting at the Bills, and I remember just causing, and you know, even since I was going young, because I transitioned from going with my parents to then my parents, and then my mom and my stepdad, and then to my friends going to Miami games in Buffalo. And then I stopped really in my mid-20s. And you know, I remember going to them, and, you know, I remember that one time where I walked in there just chanting, you know, F the Bills, and oh my God. But you know what? I will say this, since I was young to when I stopped going, and I'm sure it's still like this, the amount of support you had with the amount of Dolphin fans that were in that building, man, because I remember they used to try and harp on me even when I was a young kid going with my parents because of what I was wearing, and they used to try to harp on me in that building. And, back when it was like Ralph Wilson, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember, because I remember sitting there watching Rob Johnson and Jay Fiedler matchups, okay? So, man, I can't say enough bad things about Buffalo. Okay, I don't know what else to say. Not a fan, never been a fan, never will be a fan as long as I live. I've seen Penguins games up there. I've seen Dolphin games up there, and it's just the only thing I haven't seen is a Bison's game because obviously the Blue Jays. But just one place where the only thing good about Buffalo, other than Griselda Records and all you beautiful Dolphin fans and your families who live in Western New York, other than those people, and Penguins fans as well, I guess I'll lump you in there. The best thing about it is you can, as a Canadian, you can fly out of Buffalo and domestically in the U.S. and it's cheaper and it makes more sense than flying even out of Toronto in Pearson. So literally, other than that, I have no use for Buffalo. And I mean, I believe, okay, congratulations, y'all invented the buffalo wing, but there's spots in Canada that I've tasted that are better than that Anchor Bar crap, and all y'all guys got out there that you push. Now, there's a few spots, don't get me wrong, there's a few spots I still got to try. Don't get me wrong, there's a few spots I still got to try that, they got those beef sandwiches and wings that are off the chain. But when you talk about spots like Anchor Bar, I mean, congratulations, y'all created the buffalo wing. But so many places from Canada to, I'm sure, Europe have perfected it as well. So that don't make y'all special, okay? All right, let's keep it a buck right there on that. All right, congratulations, you deep fried a chicken wing and sauced it. Brav the effing O. Give me a break. All right. Other than that, you're known for like the armpit of the world and giving OJ Simpson a platform. All right. Ugh. And losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. Ugh. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. All right. That's enough of that. Let's keep it going because y'all already know what time it is. We got a lot to talk about with this. So the injury report, there's 2 layers to it this week. First, here is the final injury report for Friday, September 29, 2023. That came out just about an hour ago. Jalen Phillips is out, ladies and gentlemen. Out. And, I'm going to have something to say about that in a second here, but that means more opportunities for AVG. He is out. Salvon Ahmed potentially could be back. He's questionable. Terron Armstead did tell reporters today he will go. So even though it says questionable, Terron Armstead is telling everyone he will go. Connor Williams and Deshaun Elliott are trending towards playing as well. Now, big thing for them over there. Jordan Poyer is out. Why is that a big deal? Well, let's talk about that too. Let's go through the names here because we got some things to talk about here, okay? So, Tre'Davious White was on vet rest today. Ryan Bates is dealing with an ankle injury, but he's going to be going. All these guys are full to go. The big one to talk about is Jordan Poyer. So let's talk about Jordan Poyer, and then let's flip back to Phillips and Ahmed for a sec. Okay, so with Jordan Poyer, why is that such a big deal? We just saw what happened last week when Justin Simmons wasn't in for Denver, and there was no help over the top. The word coming out from Ian Rappaport and everyone is DeMar Hamlin is going to be starting, getting his first big reps on Sunday. So the pressure's on. How long has it been since DeMar Hamlin's taken a snap? And now he's going to be put in a situation where there's going to be receivers pressing the top, stressing the coverage, etc., etc. I'm just saying, there's opportunities here. This has gotten better even for my keys as I'm going to get into them in a bit here. But DeMar Hamlin and Jordan Poyer DeMar Hamlin in, Poyer out is a big thing. Big thing right now, okay? That is huge because that means they're iffy over the top right now. And when you got guys like Chosen, Hill, Tyreek that can press that top and take that top off, oh boy, and Chosen's going to have more opportunities this week, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But heading over here, let's talk about Salvon Ahmed. Salvon Ahmed he should in no way, shape, or form impact. If I see him in the rotation and taking snaps out of A-Chan's hands, we're going to have an issue. The only way Ahmed should be getting snaps is if someone's banged up right now. And even still, I'm putting Chris Brooks in. I don't even want... He should be inactive on Sunday. Let him continue to rest up. Get better. He should be inactive. Salvon Ahmed, no thanks. Now, if you want to keep him active because of what we're going to get into with continuing with the injury report and what's happening in the wide receiver core, and you want to use him split out, okay, I see the vision. But Salvon Ahmed, sorry. After what I saw last week, I'm good. Move forward with Mostert, A-Chan, and Chris Brooks. Those three together look like you don't even got to upgrade with a Jonathan Taylor and such, which I'm off. If those are the three you're rolling with, I'm off Jonathan Taylor adding anything at the deadline. You already know where I'm at. Add a pass rusher on the interior like an Aaron Donald, or go get the best linebacker available. I'm off right now if these guys continue to perform the way they're performing right now. I'm sorry. A-Chain answered. I said we didn't know what he was. His unknown. Mostert and Wilson Jr.'s unknown were, can they stay healthy? Ahmed's was, can he be more than the preseason performer? A-Chan's was, what's he going to be? We haven't seen him take a snap yet. And A-Chan comes out like that. Right. Listen, I said, what did I say? Even before we got Dalvin Cook, I said, if you get Dalvin Cook, at worst, A-Chan's number 2 by the deadline. I said, and if you don't get Cook or upgrade at running back, I said A-Chan could be number 1 by the deadline. So I'm good. All right, continuing on here because there is another layer to the injury report this week. River Cracraft has been placed on injury reserve, and Erik Ezukanma has been placed on the reserve non-football injury list. All right, so why does this matter? There's 2 roster spots, but also River Cracraft, it's obviously that shoulder he came down on that reception. It looks like he dislocated or he came down on it pretty hard. Now, Ezukanma. The word coming out is that Mike McDaniel alluded today to it being, in his presser, he alluded to it being something from Texas Tech. Now, I came back and, I went back. I appreciate you, Darsatic. No one was mentioning A-Chan before reason. You already know what time it is, baby. Man, a year before we drafted that guy, I was talking about him. Listen to When Fin Too Deep was just an audio podcast. I was gushing over that kid. You know how I love that man. Anyways, continuing on. Ain't no one lead that train more than me. Shout out to Ghost for even tweeting about how no one leads that train more than me. Anyways, I totally digress here. But I appreciate y'all for giving me the love on the A-Chan stuff. But hey, man, you know what? Listen, side note here. I just want to get things right. All right? That's where we're at. I just want to get things right, and I want us to succeed. I want us to be successful. That's all this comes down to. Nothing more than that. All right? So, you already know this. So, anyways, back to Ezukanma here. Here's the thing. I went back and I looked back at my notes, and the only thing I could find from Ezukanma, because they're saying it's some neck injury, the only thing I could find back from Ezukanma at Texas Tech was he skipped the Senior Bowl, and he missed 1 game in his final year at Texas Tech due to a concussion. Now, I don't know whether that was an impact concussion due to something in his neck, but they said something from his neck is from his college time at Texas Tech. It's what's popping up. I went back into my notes. I could only find notes on a concussion. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm trying to figure out and do research on that. That's where I'm at. So, all I can find is a concussion, and I'm gonna keep looking, and I'm gonna try and figure it out. But if it's a recurring, like, my whole thing is, if it's something with the neck that isn't the concussion, man, he's young. I'm just telling you. I hope it's not. I hope it's not something bad, because neck stuff that's recurring, it's not good. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And that non-injury football list, that's for injuries or ailments suffered outside of NFL activities. You can be. I know when the season starts, you can be activated after the first 4 games. I don't know how it works for him when he can be activated back, but I know he can come back. So I'm gonna figure it out. But everyone tries to steal my takes when they're this good, man. How many people you out here acting like they got sources? So, but with Ezukanma, man, I hope he's good. Now with Jalen Phillips, I hear people trying to kind of make this about. I don't know, man. I hear people trying to make this. It's weird. People are trying to like start a discussion just because he's got some injuries popping up right now. Listen, look at what he did in that first game. He had 7 pressures, a sack. He was very effective in that week 1. He's just been banged up now. Listen, did I expect more from him? Yes. Did I think he's going to break out? Yes. A lot of people did across this community and even nationally, from a national media standpoint. Fact of the matter is, he hasn't been healthy, and we got to let it play out. And HVG is making the most of his opportunities right now. That's just what it is. So, I'm not going to sit here at, 4 weeks in, and he's been injured for like 2.5 of them, and say, hey, I'm out on Jalen Phillips, or start, questioning the draft pick. All right. Because when you talk about pressure, people act like also pressures don't matter too. It's crazy to me. But yes, I agree. More need to be finished. But the guy's still a pressure monster. And the week 1, he really came on when we needed him to in that half. Scotty says he thinks he can still get 15 sacks. I don't know about that. But Robert says AVG and Ogba stepping up. I agree. And you need guys to step up when this kind of stuff happens. So, and they are. So, I'm not here gonna start now. If we're into next year and Phillips is still always banged up and he's not just getting it, then okay, let's have a conversation. But the injuries haven't really been a situation to what we've been dealing with to start the season with him yet. So anyways, over 315 of you, please do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you are new. Let's keep it rolling. Let's see how these teams stack up after 3 weeks. When you compare them right now, the Dolphins, they are averaging 550.3 yards per game. Obviously, that's number 1 in the NFL. I mean, and not even close. I mean, let's be honest here for a sec. That's a lot. That's a lot of yards, man. That's a lot of yards. And I mean, hey, what's crazy is the Bills are going up against like the Indy 500. But yeah, I look at the Bills. They averaging about 383.3 yards per game, which is nothing to shake a stick at by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, averaging almost 400 yards a game. It's 7th in the NFL, but it's still really good. You know what I mean? It's still really, really impressive, obviously. Now, are we gonna get? I mean, the Bills have not allowed 500 yards of offense in a regular season game since September 20th, 2015. So the Bills defense hasn't allowed over 500 yards per game in like 8 years. Now the passing offense, we're seeing a bunch of ones. It's a beautiful thing, huh? Passing offense, the Dolphins are averaging 21.3 less yards per game passing than the Bills are getting in total offense. The Dolphins are averaging 362 yards per game, while the Bills are averaging 234 yards per game passing the football, which is 12th best. Right now, the Dolphins are obviously the number one rushing team. They have 188.3 yards per game. How they've climbed since week 3 to now. They're the number one rushing offense, averaging about 188.3 yards per game. The rushing offense for the Bills is about 149.3 yards per game, which is 7th best still. They're doing it on the ground. Both teams finding that balance. Scoring offense, Dolphins obviously averaging 43.3 points per game after putting up 70. And they rank number 1, while the Bills, they rank number 2. They're averaging about 30.3 points per game. So this could very well be a 30-point plus shootout. Sacks allowed, the Dolphins have only allowed 1, while the Bills have allowed 7, which is 14th best in the NFL. Listen, that's another thing that's been huge about the Dolphins and their passing attack right now is the protection that Tua Tagovailoa is getting. It's crazy. It's just crazy how, I can't get past the fact that Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, and their passing attack is averaging like 20 yards less than the Bills are per game. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I just can't. It's just nuts to me. Anyways, continuing on here. So, third down offense. Now, this is a big one. Look at the Bills. They're number 1 in the NFL. They're converting 51.2% of their third downs. The Dolphins are converting 46.4%, which is about 7th best. Now, when we get into the defensive side, there's stuff to be desired here. So the total defense, the Dolphins are allowing 361.3 points per game. Yards per game, which is about 22 yards less than what the Bills are averaging. The Bills are only allowing 253 yards per game. So the Bills are allowing less than half of what the Dolphins are averaging as an offense in week 3 at 250. And they're second best defense in the NFL right now in terms of total defense. Now, passing defense, they're only allowing 142.3 yards per game. The Dolphins, their passing defense is allowing about 231.3, which is 20th. That's 3rd to 20th. The rushing defense, the Bills, they're allowing 110.7 yards per game, while the Dolphins are allowing about 130 yards per game, which is 24th. Remember, they're still trying to get over that week 1 hump, right? When they allowed over 200 yards rushing to the Chargers, right? Now, scoring defense, the Bills are only allowing 11.7 points per game. That's second best in the NFL. The Dolphins are allowing 23.7, which is 21st. Sacks, they've gotten 12, which is second best. The Dolphins have gotten 8th, which is 15th best. We need those sack numbers to get up there. I mean, Wilkins wanted to get paid. And, I don't know. Wilkins wanted to get paid. Where are these sacks? I don't know, man. This is why I go back. We need natural sack getters. Anyways, third down defense. The Bills are 8th best, 31%. All right, And then on the flip side, the Dolphins, they are 23rd best. They're allowing a conversion rate of 45.2%. Takeaways, the Bills have 9 already. That's first in the NFL. The Dolphins have 5, which is tied for 7th. And then in giveaways, as an offense, the Bills have given away the ball 5 times, 21st in the NFL. The Dolphins have only given the ball away 3 times, which is 11th in the NFL. So, I mean, you look at that and you break that down when their third down offense converting at 51.2% and our defense allowing 45.2%. Oof. It's going to be very interesting because if we get into a shootout and we put up points against them, which I think we will, it's going to plummet some of their numbers, right? I mean, that's just naturally what's going to happen. I don't know what else to say. And, let's be honest here. The Dolphins, they've won a divisional game already. They've beaten the Chargers in a shootout, and they stomped out the Broncos, where Russell's playing really good football right now. While you look at the Bills, and the Bills, they beat the Jets, the Raiders, and they beat the Commanders. We've beaten better teams. I mean, that's why they're averaging. They only allowed 16. They lost the Jets. I apologize. Zach Wilson beat Josh Allen, which is beautiful. But they've only beaten the Raiders and the Commanders. I mean, they've had an easy little rebound there. Now, I picked the Commanders to beat the Dolphins out of my 14-3 prediction because I thought sleeper teams would beat us. That's why I picked the Giants and the Commanders to beat us out of the 3 losses, and then the other one being in Germany because of the travel. But I still think we could beat Kansas City. But anyways, I digress. A lot of their defensive stats are kind of skewed, I think, right? Who have they beat? Jimmy Garoppolo, Sam Howell's first real year leading this offense, and then they lost to Zach Wilson. What have they done? They haven't faced an offense near ours. And the best defense they saw out of those 3 was the Jets defense, and the Jets defense held them to 16 points. So I'm just saying, while our offense, if you look at their defense and who they've gone up, who our offense has gone up, Staley has had to have figured out. Look at what our offense did in week 1 against him. Belichick threw everything in the kitchen sink as the defensive genius he is to when the offense adjusted, beat him up. And then what we did last week to a mid-tier defense shows the power and the potential of this team when they find that balance. So, we've won 3 different ways against 3 different defenses, and I think 2 of those defenses, being the Patriots and the Chargers, are better defenses than the last 2 that the Jets have faced. Sorry, than the Bills have faced. And the offenses, have they even faced a good offense yet? Out of those 3 teams, have they even faced a good offense? I don't think so. The Commanders are a work in progress. The Raiders are a work in progress. And a Zach Wilson-led offense, please. So, you just look at the competition of offense their defense has had compared to the competition of defense our offense has had, and it's not even close. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. All right. So, man, over 320 of you in the room. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's keep it rolling. So with that said, let's get into my keys. Let's break it down. So here we go. My keys, let's start on offense. Tyreek needs to be explosive against Buffalo, people. Dive into the numbers with me, all right? Tyreek hasn't posted more than 70 receiving yards against the Buffalo Bills as a Dolphin. And he had 3 opportunities last year. He had 33 yards in week 3 at home. He had 69 yards in week 15 and a dropped touchdown in that game that could have been the difference. And he had 69 yards as well in the wild card with Skylar Thompson. Tyreek Hill has not had a 100-plus yard game against the Bills. And this will be his 4th try in a season and basically a season and a quarter. So Tyreek Hill, and just for example, this is why earlier the comment was Jalen Waddle's going to have a touchdown, book it, from Scotty, I believe it was. You're probably right, because Jalen Waddle had 102 yards in week 3 last year and 114 yards in week 15. Now, Tyreek gets touchdowns. Tyreek did have touchdowns last year, as did Waddle. But, Waddle posted 200-plus yard receiving games against the Bills last year. And guys, it's not like Tre'Davious White was draped all over him. It's not. When you look into it, when you look at, like, let's say the wild card game, right? Tyreek Hill, he had 14 targets, 5 were covered by Tre'Davious White, 2 by Kerry Elam, 2 by Matt Milano, 3 by Taron Johnson out of the slot, 1 by Dane Jackson. So only about a little over a third was covered by Tre'Davious White. When you go to week 3, when he only had 33 yards, Tyreek Hill had 4 targets, 2 receptions. Tre'Davious White didn't even have coverage on him on any of those targets. Kyrie Elam and Taron Johnson and Jaquan Johnson had the coverage on those targets. And Kyrie Elam isn't around. They consider him a bust in Buffalo. So we're going to need a game from you, Mr. Riki. You need to be explosive against Buffalo. You're one of the cogs of this offense. Number 2 to me is keep feeding Raheem the Dream and Devon Achane. Now it would have been keep feeding Raheem the Dream and the Achane train, but obviously he corrected us. So keep feeding Raheem the Dream and Devon Achane, coming off that explosive performance when they combined for all those touchdowns and they ran for all those yards and made all those plays out of the backfield. You got to stick with what kept working. Period. So, when you're coming off a performance, listen. When you're coming off a performance like what they just had in week 3, all right? When they combined for 8 touchdowns. They combined for 285 yards on the ground between the two of them over 31 carries. And they combined for another 90 yards on 11 receptions catching the football. Ladies and gentlemen, that is over 370 yards between the two of them last year and last week and 8 touchdowns. Keep feeding them. Let them eat. And the number 3, we went over that about, the sacks and such. You got to continue to keep that stat sheet clean with turnovers, and you got to continue to keep Tua clean as well. But you got to keep that stat sheet clean with turnovers. We're coming off a performance last week where we ran the ball 43 times. We threw the ball another 28. So 71 offensive plays. And we didn't have 1 turnover. Not 1. You got to keep that. You cannot afford to give extra drives to the Buffalo offense because that can lead to that shootout where all of a sudden you are at their average of over 30 points per game. And another thing here, too, with that second key, with keep beating Raheem the Dream and Devon Achane. Remember last year in that Week 15 performance against the Bills, Mostert had 141 rushing yards on 17 carries. So Raheem's diced them as well. So, if Tyreek's explosive and has over 100 yards, Raheem can build off that performance he had in Week 15 against them last year in Buffalo, and Achane can be sprinkled in there and be explosive as well out of the backfield, and you can continue to keep that stat sheet clean with turnovers. Y'all are going to be putting up the points this weekend. We will be putting up the points this weekend in Buffalo. So those are my offensive keys for the Miami Dolphins heading into Week 3. Over 350 of you in the room. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. That said, let's get into the defensive keys. And the defensive keys for me is contain and confine Josh Allen to the pocket. Now, we've said this before on past matchups with them. And, past Dolphin defenses have struggled. He had 46 rushing yards in Week 3 versus Washington. He had 36 in Week 1 versus the New York Jets. You got to remember, this Dolphins defense last year under Boyer, they had 46 pressures and 5 sacks in Week 3 last year at home. And then they had 21 pressures and 2 sacks in Week 2 and 29 pressures with 11 sacks in the wild card. So amongst the defenders, spread amongst the defenders. So they were getting the numbers last year was the defense against Josh Allen and this offense. You got to continue to confine him and contain him to that pocket, and you got to try and force Josh Allen to beat you from the pocket and beat you with his arm. Now, Kader Kohu, Xavier Howard, Justin Bethel, whoever else is tasked, are going to have to do their job against Stephon Diggs, as well as against Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid and everything they got over there. You're going to have to get it done. All right? And, that's just what it is right now. You're going to have to confine him to that pocket. And you're going to have to make him beat you from that pocket. All right? And, right now, when you look at them, as a team, they've only given up 32 pressures. Spencer Brown's given up 9. Mitch Morse has given up 7. Connor McGovern's given up 6. Osiris Torrance has given up 5. Deion Dawkins has given up 5. So, man, you're gonna have to confine him to that pocket, and you're gonna have to beat him that way. Now you're gonna have to neutralize James Cook as a rusher. He's been coming on. He's got 267 yards total rushing, but he had 98 yards in Week 3 against Washington rushing, and he had 123 versus Las Vegas in Week 2. Now, he hasn't been putting the ball in the end zone, but he also has 67 receiving yards. He had 36 on 4 catches against Las Vegas as well. So that game against Las Vegas, he had 159 all-purpose yards. And he has a 267 yards total. But when you do the math, guys, 221 of those 267 rushing yards have come over just the last 2 weeks. So James Cook is starting to come on as a runner. You're going to have to neutralize him. It's going to be imperative that as much as we stress the Dolphins finding that balance, you cannot allow them to find that balance, because if James Cook gets going like he has been the last couple of weeks, man, can't allow that. Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, all you run stuffer extraordinaires, it's time for y'all to earn that bread. Y'all getting paid, all right? Either you're getting paid or want to be paid, all right? And for me, third down stops are going to be imperative. I mean, you got the matchup of the number one third down offense who are converting at a 51.2% clip against the 23rd third down defense who are allowing a conversion of a 45.2% clip. You know, if you let them extend drives like they did last year in week 15 that you lose a close game. You know, if you let them extend drives before they go into the half that lead to points, you're going to have to be big on third down. Third down stops are going to be so imperative this week for this defense. You're going to get off the field, man. So contain and confine Josh Allen to the pocket, neutralize James Cook as a runner, and third down stops are going to be imperative because, you know, you won't have to rely on turnovers if you get those third down stops. Now, if you're not getting those third down stops, you're going to be relying on turnovers like we saw the last couple weeks when teams are getting on the other side of the field. So those are my offensive and defensive keys for the Miami Dolphins heading into this game. Now, my matchup to watch, all right? Matchup to watch here, I got to go back to Tyreek. It's going to be Tyreek against Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford. When you look at what these guys, you know, have been doing, really, first of all, you know, Christian Benford has only allowed 68 yards and Tre'Davious White has only allowed 60. That's 128 yards between the two of them. All right. Now, they've only allowed 2 touchdowns, both from Tre'Davious White. Benford has not allowed a touchdown, but they pretty much split the duties in terms of, because of the right and left, they like to stick to the right and left over there, and they put it pretty much, you know, they split the duties pretty much, right? So, you know, for example, just for an example, right? You look at Terry McLaurin, right? He had 6 targets. Well, you know, Dane Jackson and Tre'Davious White took 2 of those. And, you know, you look at a guy like Jahan Dotson, Tre'Davious White, and Dane Jackson took the 2 of those. And then, you know, you look with the way Chris Benford is moved around and such like that. You know, again, you look at Devontae Adams and you go back to week 2. Devontae Adams saw Benford on the right, and he saw Tre'Davious White, and he saw Taron Johnson, right? He was targeted 8 times. 6 of those were from against Tre'Davious White and Benford. 4 for White and 2 for Benford. We need that explosive game, Tyreek. We need that 100-plus yard game. 69, nice, is okay, but we need that game, and we need you to help us put us over the top, man. I literally don't know what else to say. Now, you know, I want to get into this. Before we get into my final thoughts and predictions, I want to show this. Some Jeff Darlington number crunches on the week 3 win. If you haven't had a chance to see this segment, let's get hyped for this Sunday just by taking a look back at how the Dolphins are steamrolling into this week. Check it out.
When Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel addressed his team after Sunday's eye-popping 70-20 win, he called it a historic victory, bestowing the praise it deserved. And then, a minor disclaimer.
I want you guys to enjoy it, but keep it in perspective. It is a 3rd win.
McDaniel is right. It's 1 win in week 3. But sometimes a game is worth more. To a franchise, to a fan base, to a locker room. And this, no matter what comes next, has that feel.
Where Miami at? Where Miami at?
Why exactly? Because of the way Miami won. With creativity, with balance, and most of all, with speed.
This is the most explosive offense.
70 points on the day.
I have never seen anything so absurd in the National Football League.
The Dolphins became the fourth team and the second since 1966 to score 70 points. Miami's 726 total yards of offense ranks second all-time, just 9 yards shy of the 1951 LA Rams. Now, for the numbers that resonate beyond 1 week. The Dolphins were balanced. They became the first team in NFL history with 5 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in a single game.
Tua back to throw, looking over the middle, wide open, touchdown, his 4th of the day.
They also are the second team in NFL history with 300 passing yards and 300 rushing yards.
He's gone. Nobody's going to catch the A-chain.
Let's go.
The Dolphins were fast. According to Next Gen Stats, Miami has produced the 5 fastest top speed by ball carriers this season. 2 of those efforts came in Sunday's win. One from rookie running back Devon Achane at 21.93 miles per hour, which was the fastest in the NFL so far this season.
There is so much speed on this field.
They got the Miami 500 with those pieces that they had.
They are also averaging 8.4 yards per play, the highest mark by any team through 3 games since the 1970 NFL-AFL merger.
Averaging
550.3 yards per game, also the highest mark in that same span. So yeah, McDaniel's right. The Dolphins don't need to get ahead of themselves. Instead, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. And wins like this one won't be memorable for what they were, but rather for where they led.
Dolphins win 42-27 on Sunday. That's what I'm taking. That's what I'm sticking to. You already know what time it is, baby. Dolphins are going to win 42-27. They're just steamrolling right now. Bills are finally going to see a top flight offense, and they're going to see a defense that's going to surprise them. They bend but don't break. And the most dangerous thing for the NFL, and especially our division rivals, is this team has found more balance than the force. All right, I don't know what else to say. So I'm going to be live around 12:45 on Sunday for the live reaction, and then we'll be live about 10-15 minutes after the game ends for the 5th quarter post-game show. Make sure to join us, and if anything breaks tomorrow, I'll be live then. But until Sunday, it's Bills week. Let's go get that win on Sunday, baby. It's a beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Fins up. Have a fantastic Friday, everyone.